I don't think I go for it.
Maybe I'll make it, maybe somebody might have a light like that doing church.
Yeah. Luella told me she was gonna go, so I'm hoping they can. Whether she's welcome or not.
Yes, please.
Right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I want to report back.
Morning. Good morning. All right. Coffee's been turned on. Donuts have arrived. Colors are full. And we now have our fellowship.
So that's your assignment. And I have what?
Fellowship.
Benediction? Yeah.
Yeah, benediction.
The devotion?
Yes, we'll do it right now.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Something good.
I'm a teacher. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, so we're coming towards Thanksgiving. So, harvest of Thanksgiving time. I see a harvest moon tonight. So it's Thanksgiving time to come. Its golden beams are shining still, and woodlands towering by pines.
Gotcha.
It shines upon the empty fields which have been harvested, and sheds a special ray of light upon the old homestead. Again, I see a harvest moon, so it's Thanksgiving time to come. I feel a surge of thankfulness with this heart of mine. I thank God for you guys too. The gathered group heads bowed to prayer. That's when we find the other. For harvest and Thanksgiving time are kin to one another. Okay, we're all set. I know I'm a little early. That's how it's going to go.
Thank you. Best Thanksgiving reading I've heard all day.
Now we have our Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we have an attendance count.
Are you looking for coffee?
17.
17 good people. We welcome back Nelson Loomis and Art Reimer to our
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now we have the committee reports.
18.
Okay, fine. Okay, now we'll have our singing for the songbook. Committee reports, yes.
Who's the committee that's reporting?
I don't know.
21.
Okay, that's that. We'll scratch that one up.
There is one
The
announcement.
picnic is
Yeah,
June
there's
3rd.
one announcement about the picnic.
Yeah, we'll also put a picture.
I thought that's under old business. A couple of us went down to review the park. And we would suggest that if it's a decent day, sunny, blue skies and all that, and you care to sit around and shoot a fat with your neighbor, please bring a lawn chair. The seating facilities there, the only seats that are there are those that are attached to the picnic tables. So if you'd like something a little bit more comfortable, I would suggest, and my cohort down the line here went along with me, consider bringing a lawn chair. If you'd like something a little bit more comfortable than that. Other than that, if it's a cool day like today, this is an open type shelter. Please don't forget to bring a jacket or a sweater. I have to leave this to your decision, but if it's a chilly day like today, you'd want a jacket or a sweater. So those two things, sweater possibly and a lawn chair.
Thank you, Jack.
While I was around this subject of the picnic, I was going to wait for old business, but anyway, as far as the picnic, I did pass out the maps. The only thing is, I did say there's a green sign right at the entrance to the park itself. and I put on there, I think I had JUN, but the sign actually says JCT for junction. Anyway, it is a green sign, and the minute you see it, you'll know to turn on the right-hand turn in there. It's the only sign, and it's the only entrance on Dewey Avenue that goes to the right. Okay.
That's John.
Do a treasury report. We have $333.11 in the treasury. I'm assuming that's going to be enough to cover the.
How much?
$333. That'd be enough to cover anything. Okay. Also, there's no electricity at this pavilion, so we're gonna for coffee. I'll pick up a couple of boxes to go at Tim Hortons or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever it is. And we'll use that, and if we run out, it's only a mile down the road. I can get some more. Okay. Also, it's I timed it. It's 4/10 of a mile from Latta Road to the entrance to the park. It's 4/10 of a mile. So. And if you go under the bridge for the parkway, you went too far.
Don't go to the parkway.
But if you're coming from the parkway.
Well, if you're coming from the parkway, it's only about 1/10 of a mile.
Yeah, I put it on my
Right.
check, yes.
I assume everybody's coming from the south heading north. Do you have a map? I don't have one right now.
Yeah.
They are around.
I got one for you.
John's got it.
I gave you one. In that, one packet was in my car.
One other thing I'd like to say, I'm going to be getting the pop, soda, whatever. Does, first of all, I was thinking of getting a 12-pack of Pepsi. Is this okay with most people?
Pepsi.
And diet? I
Oh,
thought
no,
I was going to get regular.
Regular.
Okay, regular. If you want a diet, I can check.
Don't worry about
Okay. The other thing was I was going to see about root beer. If anybody wants root beer.
Oh, yeah. Beer too.
That too. I'll get a 12-pack of that.
Yeah.
Better get a dozen pounds.
Well, I get a 12-pack of Pepsi, a 12-pack of root beer, and orange.
Orange, yeah, orange is
You're going to have one of each. I
Yes.
got you down there. All right.
You got that, huh?
Good enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Now, Al, would you please lead us sing a song?
Yeah.
Ken is.
Somebody.
Go ahead there, Ken. You're good. I know.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're ready.
Ready.
No.
No, sir. Hey, turn to page 11 and we'll start out with God Bless America. Can you everybody hear me? God bless America. Land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairie, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Good grace this morning. Hey, we have a speaker here. I got a question for him. What's one of the words you hear on the golf course quite a bit? Boy, he's a jolly good fellow. Praise the jolly good fellow. Praise the jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny. Well, we got a holiday coming up on Monday, so why don't we celebrate the armed forces? You all remember the songs for the armed forces? They're not in our book. We'll start out with Quezon, go rolling along. You remember? Over hill, and we hit the dusty trail as those caissons go rolling along. Counter march, flag of mouth, here goes flag and soldiers shout as the caissons
suns go rolling along. Chorus high, high, he in the field artillery. Shout out your numbers loud and strong. And wherever we go, you will always know that those big suns go rolling along.
Keep rolling! Keep
All the calls that were in the Navy,
Oh, I think there's a few.
remember the Navy?
You want to stand up for this? I sure do. Okay.
Anchors away, my boys. Anchors away. Farewell to college joys. We sail at break of day. To our last night ashore, drink to the foam. Until we meet once more, wishing you a happy voyage home.
From the Air Force.
Air Force, my daughter.
Remember that one?
No, Daddy was in the Navy.
We go
Into the wild blue yonder, climbing high in the sun. We climb soon to meet our thunder, and aboard you're the gun. We live in pain, off with one hell of a roar. We live in pain, without a flame. Hey, nothing can stop the Army Air Corps.
All right.
Well, I was in the Army. I gotta remember the Marines. They've always been my favorite, because that's what my father was way back in old days. From the halls of honors we will fight our country's battles on the land and on the sea. Yes, we fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor free. We are proud to bear the title of United States Marines.
All right.
And I got a short version for the Coast Guard, if you remember. Oh, what was it? Semper Paratus is a tide, our fame and glory too. We fight to save our flag and die. Coast Guard, we are for you. Okay.
All right.
How much time we got? I don't think my voice would last that long. So why don't we, well, can we sing It's a Grand Old Flag?
Sure.
It's on page 38. You're a grand old flag, you're a high flying flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true to the red, white, and blue, where there's never a host or break. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the grand old flag. Turn to page 14 and we'll sing one verse of How Great Thou Art. Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then
Savior unto thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior unto thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Good job, people.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, now, we will have, do we have any birthdays today? Anything? Okay. How about it? Not just tonight, this month. This month, yeah. Next month, John.
Happy birthday.
Well, whatever. We have our humor from Jack Ernest. I have nothing to report this morning on the Sunshine Committee, part of the business, so you can forget that. But got a couple little things here. Something that I have never run into before. Just a couple weekends ago, my wife and I went to Virginia to my granddaughter's graduation. And how many of you have ever been to a hotel or a facility that says, "Pets are welcome"? Well, we walked into a red roof, and there's nothing wrong with the hotel. It was very fine. Had a nice continental breakfast and what have you, but out the front of the window, main lobby, sign says, "Pets are welcome." So looked at it and said, okay. So a little bit later, after we come back from the graduation exercise, my wife came up to me, she says, "Jack, you gotta see this." She said, the sign that says, "Pets are welcome," says, "Go out in the back of the motel and see what's out there." So out I went. Now remember, I'm in the state of Virginia where things are a little different in the south maybe than they are in the north. Out I went, I looked around, couldn't see anything at first, and I looked over across from where there's like a cut through between the two halves of the motel, and I thought I saw something moving under a tree. So upon further examination, I walked a little closer, and all of a sudden something neighed at me. And here's a guy that's got a horse tied to a tree, and who is a guest at the motel. So I'm looking around, and I thought, now how is this horse ever get to this motel? And I discovered farther down, way at the end of the parking lot, is a van that had openings in it, and I figured that was the horse van. But here it is, out there. He was tied out there for a couple days, munching on the grass, but when they said pets are welcome, this is going a little bit too far. But anyway, there's this horse, pretty horse. I didn't get too much closer after he let me know he was there. But anyway, first experience of going to a motel that says pets are welcome. Well, my writer down here, joke writer down here at the end of the table, he gave me some material, and he said it was so bad he wouldn't even read it himself. So, I'm going to start off. This is for you, just so to let you know I do use this stuff.
I'm sorry about that, Jack.
Oh my, after I read it. How many of you have gone on a tour with a tour group leader? Look at all this. Okay, here's one about a tour group. And it's also perhaps related to today's political life. A tour group gazed into the depths of the Grand Canyon. Do you know, asked the guide, that it took millions and millions of years for this great abyss to be carved? Well, I'll be darned, one of the visitors said. I never knew this was a government job. Now, my dear writer down there, he sent me this one also. This is about children. It's called The Penny. A couple had just finished tucking their children into bed when they heard sobbing coming from 3-year-old Billy's room. Rushing to his side, they found him crying hysterically. had accidentally swallowed a penny and was sure he was going to die. Desperate to calm him, the husband palmed the penny that he happened to have in his pocket and pretended to pull it from Billy's ear. Billy was delighted. In a flash, he snatched it from his dad's hand, swallowed it, and demanded cheerfully, "Do it again, Dad." That's as far as I go with these. See if I quickly.
Good, Dad.
Now, I would like to welcome back Nelson Lewis and Art Reimer.
You're welcome back again.
What else? My mind you have the 50-50 one?
Everybody, get your tickets out.
Bring me the man.
Here we go. There he is.
I did. All right.
Get it, guys, Dave?
Yeah. Because I can't put my own name on it. Let me see.
All right.
I got it.
You got two again?
No, I don't know.
Here we go. 660-962. Oh!
Oh, that's me.
There, see?
Can you pull my name? My number?
Yeah.
I'm trying to take it and run.
There you are.
Take it and run.
Take the money and run.
There you go.
All in the business.
How does he do it?
Oh, perfect, yes.
Yeah.
Warren, we're going to look ahead to September.
Pat won this time.
Right. Let's hold one.
What about September? Nothing to do with September, John. Well, that's a sign.
Hi, everybody. This is Sam here and a couple of people that haven't been around for a while. Good to see everybody. Good health, apparently. I just want to mention, I got a surprise call. Those of you who remember the Lampies, many times I tell you, we haven't been in touch with them for a while. And many times I would call them, leave a message, but I never got a response. But I still kept going. Well, last night I got a big surprise. I was up at 2 o'clock last night. I had a phone call from a nephew of mine. I hadn't heard from him in 25 years. Wow. That was a thrill. For 2 hours we talked, if you can imagine, Bill. Wow. And, anyway, I talked to the Lampies, and I got Joanne, which I was my surprise. I never expected it, so we must have talked for a good half hour. And I was elated. I felt so good to talk to them because they had several family problems, and we're not able to get here, unfortunately. So, they said, well, they forgot, and they wanted to say hello to everybody. They mentioned they wanted to know how everybody was. So I was telling Jack here and Al, and then right around Al and the rest of the people. And they said they want to be remembered everybody, and they hope to get back next year. Not this year, but some things happen where you have some medicine, and the medicine reacts in such a way where it's worse than what the original problem could be. So I'm sure you know situations like that. But anyway, I'm very elated to have people. So I was so excited. You know, Wally? It was just great. Anyway, it was fun to talk to him. But the other thing I want to just mention very quickly, I think Al's been around sending people. We're looking for people to help out a little bit. Now, Wally said he would help out. I'll say where we are so far very quickly. Wally said he would help out. I know he do a good job as president. However, he's a little reluctant to get right to jump into it, which I can understand. So I asked, I haven't had a chance to ask many people yet. Maybe somebody here would like to do this. I don't know. Maybe Bill would be a good candidate.
I've been asking.
But anyway, we're looking for somebody who would like to be the president. But John Honan said he would take over for now until the end of the year to help out. So and have somebody phase into it. So it's a fun thing to do. You meet a lot of people and making contacts, obviously. And you can see what it's like. We have fun with it. And also looking for somebody to assist Warren Crandall, wherever he is on the Warren.
more incredible to get speakers and stuff. So Al, I think they're on already this morning to check with people and see if you know of anybody you think would be kind to come to our group, who would appreciate it, certainly. And I mentioned that to you, so anything you can do in that regard, fine. You can always contact me. It's a fun thing to do, it really is. I've met so many interesting people. I'm going to tell you very quickly. Next fall, I got 2 people coming. One lady is starting to work. She's new, Kathleen Taylor, and she's in the political world, and she's also going to come and talk to us about what's going on in the state and our county legislature. You may have heard of a fellow named Rick Funky.
Rich Funky.
And he's a senator. And talking with Secretary Helen, and she is delighted to have us come. She's got to make sure she's plugged him in for the second. We're going to start on the 16th of September, and then the following week, Rick Funky will be coming. And we got some other people too that I think would like to come. Incidentally, as you're looking for somebody to come and be a part of it like that, especially if you're looking for like the job I've been doing for the last 16 years, I'm wearing down. But anyway, we've had some people who said, well, why not? Can I tell about myself? You know, so if you feel you'd like to tell a story about yourself, fine. I mean, it's what I call getting to know you. You know, we've all had a chance to do this to some extent, so it's nice to have that feeling of cohesiveness, you know, together with the friends. Anyway, so much for that. So keep your eyes and ears open, think about it, and we need everybody to be a group because we're small. The 87 people that first started this group in 1960, it's a different story altogether. You know? So we need lots of help. I want to special thanks to clcharles for the work he's been doing, exploring things. So make sure.
You're welcome.
All I can say, he sparked me to keep moving. So I'm on a cloud. Anyway, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Before I do, let me just tell you that we're building a theater in Rochester, and it's the theater that we can hear me okay. Anybody can hear me? Okay, we're building. The old town hall in my Washington Park there was the first place where I was indoctrinated to go into service. So if I say fond memories, I say it with certain observation.
He mentioned
I was there, and he's up there at the theater there, and he's going to talk about a fantastic job they're doing. $1.5 million original renovation or whatever. They can't touch the outside of the building because historically it's protected. Okay, but the inside, what they're doing inside is just fantastic. I can't say it's great enough. I heard them at the hard of hearing people go to hearing aids, if you know, and presentation you're going to enjoy, believe me. So I'd like to introduce to you Bob Parrish, and Bob, you step over here for a minute. That's an envelope for somebody Davis here, and it says for you, it has your name on it. So I said, I got to sign it, but here it is. Appreciation for helping us with that. I'm going to tell you about what's going on. Thank you. I'll make sure I can have John sign it, our treasurer here, and our secretary, and I'll let you. I won't tell you. You're originally from Buffalo. Okay, I'll tell you what you want now. Okay.
Microphone comes loose.
Yeah, I'll use the microphone. Thank you all so much for inviting me to speak with you today. I'm Tom Parrish. I'm the Executive Director of Geva Theater Center. And how many of you have been to Geva before? That's very good. That's what I like to see. So, I moved to Rochester 4 years ago. I was running a theater outside of Boston. And so I've been at Geva for 4 years, and I'm the co-CEO of the theater, and I run the whole business of the theater, all of the marketing and fundraising and facilities and finance and administration. And as Warren mentioned, I was talking with the Hearing Loss Association, telling them all about the new improvements we've made to the building for people with hearing loss and people with mobility challenges, and he asked if I would come speak with this group today, and who knew you were such a talented bunch of singers and comedians, and you deserve your place on the stage at some point.
You've been discovered, Jack.
One leaving in 10 minutes.
Right, so as Warren mentioned, we're in the process of doing some work to our building. We've been in the convention hall / armory / arsenal / hospital / horse stable / cotillion dance hall. And we've been in there for 30 years. And 30 years is about as long as some facilities last before they need major repairs and updates. So this building, which you see here, was built in 1868 as the New York State Arsenal for the New York State Militia, and saw very little military use. In fact, the newspapers said it was a huge waste of taxpayer money. It was built, I guess, to protect Rochester from marauding Canadians. But saw very little military use. The troops from Rochester for the Spanish-American War were deployed from here, so that was about it. Let me show you some of the historical photos. So you can see here the troops out in front of the arsenal. But then the building found renewed life as the convention hall. And it was a 4,000-seat convention hall. 4 presidents spoke there. It was the center of Rochester cultural, political, and social life. There were dances and political conventions and expositions. And at one point, there was a big flu epidemic, and George Eastman turned it into a hospital for a little bit to care for Rochesterians, and 9,000 tonsillectomies were performed in our building. And yeah, it saw a lot of use, and all of the great acts came touring through there. Anna Pavlova and Rachmaninoff, and the precursor to the Rochester Philharmonic, the Dawsonbach Orchestra, performed in this hall. And interestingly, George Eastman and Dawsonbach didn't see eye to eye, so Eastman started his own orchestra when he built the Eastman Theater, and that became the RPO. But once the Eastman Theater was built, the need for the convention hall started to decline, and so it became partially abandoned, and that became the Navy Armory. And you mentioned that you were trained there, and I heard stories of how there were big guns and guns in there for training.
A lot of mounts, called mounts, and it was they had twin mounts of 40 millimeter in there and a 5-inch 38 gun, and yeah.
So I've heard great stories from patrons who were trained there before they went off to serve, and you can see it in its later incarnation there. Became government offices. There was a lot of storage there. But in the early 80s, Geva was still a fledgling theater company. We were started in 1972, and we were originally in the Rochester Business Institute building on Clinton, where the Frontier building is today. And we did such a good job of gentrifying the neighborhood that Frontier wanted to build their headquarters, and so they offered the city more than the $1 a year we were paying for the theater. And so we had to find a new place to be. And so our board started looking, and we looked at a number of sites and chose this building. And we moved in 1985, and it's been a real workhorse for us and has really helped elevate the theater. Before we moved into this building, we were selling out our little theater in the Business Institute building, selling about 30,000 tickets a year. And as soon as we moved into the Armory, our attendance jumped to 100,000 people a year. And it's really helped fuel our growth. Geva is now the most attended regional theater in the Northeast United States, outside of Manhattan. We have the 22nd largest season ticket holder base in the United States, with over 10,000 season ticket holders. We have some here, I know. And so we've ushered 4 million people through this building since we've been there. And that's led to some wear and tear on the inside. And so we have to do some work to keep this historic structure looking good and serving the next generation of theater goers and Rochesterians. And since we moved in there, it's really helped to transform the neighborhood at what is a key gateway to downtown. So since we moved in, ESL built their headquarters, Bausch & Lomb built that building, Frontier moved in, Excellus Blue Cross and Blue Shield, there's a new parking garage, there are now condos a block from the theater, and apartment buildings and restaurants. So the neighborhood has really come alive since Geva's been there. And the building has also served as a major hub for our education programs. We serve about 40,000 youth and adults each year through 28 different programs that include direct training in theater, public speaking, improvisation. We bring kids to see shows. We send artists out into the classroom. We do teacher training, and we run a conservatory program. And so it's been very helpful for that. And then in 2000, we built a second theater in this building, and it's called the Fielding Next Stage, and we do a lot of new play development there. So that's like the research and development operation of the theater. And over 85 plays that Geva has workshopped and commissioned and developed have gone to productions around the world, and we've sent shows to New York, and it's been a very vibrant program. And we're probably one of the largest, if not the largest, cultural employer in Rochester. We employ about 300 people a year. So to help renovate the building, in 2009 we launched the Front and Center campaign to really fix what was a decaying building. I'll show you some pictures in a minute. But we realized that we needed to raise $10 million, $8 million to fix the building, and $2 million for endowment. And as soon as we started raising money, we started going to work. Because the roof was leaking, and if you've been to Geva, you may not have known, but there were buckets over your head, catching water, and running it through tubes to bigger buckets backstage so that you could stay dry. And when it rained, you could hear the pitter-patter of raindrops over your head. You could hear the crows walking in the fall on the roof. The bricks were crumbling. The windows were rotting. The building was literally falling apart around us. And so we first started off with the box office and restrooms because we know that women are the most important. And so we wanted to fix the line that was happening at the restrooms. And so we added more stalls, so now the women don't have to wait in line, which makes everyone happier. And we also updated the box office. We replaced the roof, which you can see here. We added acoustic insulation for sound, fixed the leaks. We repointed all of the masonry, which you can see in some of the pictures. We restored all of the windows and doors. And then we did acoustical enhancements in the theater so that you could hear better and that the quality of the sound was better in the theater. And then we made some accessibility improvements. We added a new assistive listening system for people with hearing loss. We started open captioning performances. We also increased the number of wheelchair accessible seating locations that we have. And one thing that did, we used to have 552 seats in our large theater, and we added the additional wheelchair seats, and so we now have 526 seats because wheelchairs take up more space than regular seats. And then we replaced the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system to the tune of $1.3 million. It's one of those unsexy projects that no one wants to pay for, but you would know it if we didn't do it. So, so we're there to keep you cool in the summer and warm in the winter. But now we get to do all of the fun projects inside the theater. And there are three main goals to our renovation work. The first is to create a home for first-class artists. And we're starting to do that with the Education, Rehearsal, and Conference Center. And we actually break ground on this renovation project in just about 3 weeks. The whole front half of the top floor of our building is where our rehearsal hall is. And we'll be reconfiguring that space to have our rehearsal and education hall where we do classes as well as rehearse and practice for all of our productions, which are made right here in Rochester, just for Rochester. Meeting spaces, various places for artists and patrons and staff to congregate and collaborate and innovate. So that's a very exciting...
Where's the main entrance?
The main entrance this is on the top floor. The main entrance is below this. So this is the Woodbury side of the building. Okay, this is the theater, you can see, right? So on the first floor, you would come in here. The women's room is under here. The men's room is under here. This is all lobby, and then you go in the theater. So this is a rendering an early rendering of what that space will look like. It's a central community gathering place. We'll do a lot of meetings and events and rentals in this space, as well as rehearse our productions and hold classes. The second project, which we'll be doing this summer, is the renovation of the dressing rooms and green rooms, which are located in the basement. And that's where the actors get dressed and shower, and that's where all of our costume maintenance and wardrobe facilities are for laundering clothes and prepping wigs and all of that. So in the basement, this is 2 stories right below the same place we're doing the education and conference center. We have the dressing rooms for the main stage. So you can see we have 3 chorus dressing rooms and 1 star dressing room. We have 2 locker rooms, a little kitchen area, and a waiting area, as well as wardrobe facilities for caring for the costumes. Because in between every performance, we have to launder anything that touches human skin. Yeah, so all of the undergarments need to be washed between every show. So in case you wondered why our shows on Saturday are 4 and 8:30 instead of maybe 4 and 8 or 4 and 7, it's because not only do we have to do the show, we have to do the laundry in between. So that's what's happening down there. And then you may have seen in the news artist housing. So we are a union theater. We have 3 collective bargaining agreements. 1 is with the Actors Union. And as a part of that, we are required to house any of our artists who aren't from Rochester. And because there are only 40 union actors in Rochester, there's not a lot of depth on the bench, so to speak, to cast all of the shows. So we have a casting director in New York City, and we cast each show. So about 25% of our artists are local. The rest are coming from New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Los Angeles, Atlanta, all of the major places where the actors live. So we used to have our actors out in Gates, and the commute was a lot, and we had to maintain a large fleet of vehicles. And the opportunity became available to partner with the developer of the old Merkel Donahue building on Woodbury and South Avenue, and build studio loft apartments. And so we have 11 studio loft apartments in this building now. It's 150 steps from the theater, which is great for the actors. It's really first-class housing, and the actors can go home in between shows. They don't have to shower at the theater anymore. They'll just go home and use their shower. On their breaks for dinner, they can go home as opposed to eating at the theater. They no longer have to share cars to go to work. So we opened and moved into the housing in January, and you can see here some pictures. They're studio loft apartments. They're about 500 square feet each with 15-foot ceilings and exposed brick walls, polished concrete floors, granite countertops, really beautiful units. And Ray Ruby from Ruby Gordon Furniture is a patron and subscriber of the theater, and so he helped us out on getting a good deal on furniture. So we have all new furnishings in the apartments as well. The second major goal of the campaign is enhancing the audience experience. And so the first thing we're doing with that is renovating the lobby. And these projects will all happen next summer in the off-season, so from June to August of 2016. So in the lobby, you can see here's the theater. This is the front door. We're reconfiguring the lobby, consolidating the bars in the center into a larger bar that can serve more people faster, which allows us to put in a full kitchen. So we will expand our food offerings at the theater and actually be open during the day for lunch if people want to come, have a meeting, and have a bite to eat. There will be interactive displays throughout the lobby for people to explore how the theater's made at Geva, and then seating in various configurations, because the social aspect of theater is so important. People go to the theater to be with their loved ones, their friends, their family, and so we're creating seating opportunities for groups of 2, 4, 6, 8, and 20, depending on your group size. So it should be really comfortable, and and we wanted to maintain the warmth and coziness of the space while also showcasing the historic elements and giving it an update. So here you can see the new entry foyer of the theater. This is the front door. The box office is over there. So you're going to walk into this grand 2-story entry, and we'll be adding access to the balcony from the elevator, which will be great. Opening up the box office so it's very concierge-like and with high-quality service, very friendly, and highlighting the warmth and height and volume of the space. This is the renovation of the cafe. So you can see the new centralized bar in the center. We added a new lounge area on the end where the old bar is. And it should just be a warm place to hang out before the show, at intermission, and even after the show will be open after if people want to get drinks, and the actors will come and drink at the bar, and you can chat with them. It should be a really dynamic space, and hopefully people will want to be there more than just for the show. The second area is the theater refurbishment, and people may go, well, what's wrong with the theaters? Well, 4 million people have sat in those seats, and they are broken, and we are out of spare parts. So we have to replace the seats. The carpet is peeling up, and so we just need to do cosmetic finishes in the theaters, replace the carpet, replace the seats, a little bit of paint, and some TLC. That's basically what's happening in the theaters. You can see we're doing a little seat campaign. If you want to honor a loved one and sponsor one of the new seats, you're welcome to do that. And then entertainment suites. When we redid the restrooms at the front of the building, we discovered empty voids of space because it's a 2-story entryway and the restrooms are only 1 story high. And we use every square inch of this 50,000 square foot building. So when we found this empty space and realized that we could reclaim 2,000 square feet, we're adding an entertainment suites over the front door. So this is the front door, is right here. We're putting in a grand stair in the lobby so you can get up there, as well as an elevator stop. It allows you to get to the balcony from the elevator, which is great. We have a number of patrons who need and use that. But this lounge will now have its own bar, private restrooms, and so our donors will be able to use this as an added perk. But we do a lot of group outings and events and rentals and for our corporate sponsors and holiday parties and all of that. Weddings, receptions, all of that can happen here. So hopefully this will be not only help encourage increased philanthropy, because in the theater only half of our revenue comes from ticket sales. The rest has to come from donations. So hopefully it will help encourage philanthropy, as well as create new revenue streams through renting this space for meetings and events. And it'll be able to hold about 75 to 100 people. It's subdividable. So you can see this is the view of the front door from across the lobby. So it's going to be a beautiful, well-appointed space with some different configurations. It'll have a catering kitchen, so we'll be able to serve food there as well. It'll be a great amenity, and we're cramped for space right now. When we do an event, we'll close off a portion of the lobby so that XYZ Corporation can have their event, and then our regular patrons get upset that we're taking their space for this company. So now we'll put the company up here, and then all of the regular patrons can use the full lobby. The third and final goal of the campaign is nurturing support and service. In the nonprofit theater, in the nonprofit in general, the staff is always like the last that's thought about. There's always pressure from donors. You don't need staff. We don't want to pay overhead. And so our staff, I'm tired in working in a place where it's like I'm in a secondhand store. We have leftover Kodak furniture, leftover Xerox furniture, leftover Bachelon furniture. I mean, there's furniture that's probably 100 years old, like old office cubicles. everything's mismatched and falling apart. And so we're one of the top 25 theaters in the United States, and we should look like one of the top 25 theaters in the United States. And if we want to attract and retain the best people to work here, to create the best art, we need great spaces. And so the administrative offices will get a facelift, so you can see here we'll get new furniture. We'll highlight the brick and the nice height of the ceilings to really create an open, collaborative workspace. Because it's a creative business, and we need people to talk to each other, and we need people to be inspired to do the best work. And these spaces will help do that. Finally, Geva is significantly underendowed, and we're a relatively young organization at 42 compared to some of our peers in town who have been around for 100 years. But compared to other theaters, you can see our endowments is here. It's about $2 million. National average is over $8 million. And what endowments do is you invest this money and it spits off dividends and earnings that help pay for the operation, help pay to keep the facility up. And because we've been so underendowed, we haven't been able to keep the facility up as well as we could have, should have. So we're building the endowment to help protect all of these investments that the community is making in this building now. And if you're interested, there are many ways that you can help support this effort, or if you know anyone. Yesterday, we just we're at $9.5 million of the $10 million now, so we are almost there. We're almost there, and we have a generous donor who's matching all of the donations for the rest of the campaign. So people can double their impact. So it's a great community facility. It's served this community well. It's Rochester's theater, and we want to make sure that Rochester's proud of this building and of the work that happens inside of it. So that's what's going on with the renovation. I also put out, you have Geva Guides. That's our biannual magazine that talks about everything that's going on at the theater. We also, a few months ago, announced our season for next year. We start with Spamalot in the fall, which is our big musical. And there's always something going on if you're bored. And there are a lot of free events. We do probably 100 free events every year. Readings, workshops. You can take part in the making of brand new plays. There are community discussions called the Hornet's Nest, where we pick a play on a controversial topic, whether it's gun control, or our last one was on the use of drones in the military. We've done them on the death penalty, abortion, any number of controversial topics. And we do a play reading that centers on that topic. And then we invite instigators on both sides of the issue, and we have a community discussion and debate. We don't take a stance or advance any agenda, but it brings people together to talk in a safe environment about contemporary topics. And the nice thing about using theater for that is you can always point to the art. You can say, well, that place said that, and I disagree with it, as opposed to pointing the finger at a person. So you can use the art as the way to have a difficult conversation like that. So there are all sorts of programs like that. Encourage you to come check us out. And then thank you for giving me the opportunity of speaking with you today. Are there any questions about anything at the theater? Yes.
I'm a member of the Broadway Theater League, and there's so many wonderful events in the city as far as the theater goes. Why don't and everybody has the same problem, money. Why don't they all get together and do the theaters together? They want to spend all this money uptown for a new theater for the Broadway Theater League, but they only use it how many times a year? Wouldn't it be better if all the groups got together and did something? You have the Cabaret yourself, the Broadway Theater League. You have Garth Fagan. You have so many wonderful things.
Isn't Garth Fagan part of Geva?
No, they have their own.
Oh.
Their own. We're all doing different things. That's first off. Just at Geva, we have 500 performances a year. So it's hard for us to share because there are only 365 days.
Now, you don't have the size either
So,
to do a Broadway theater.
Right. back in the day, when the Renaissance Square project was being contemplated, there was an effort to bring all of the organizations together. It was going to have the touring house for the Broadway shows. Geva was going to have a presence, and there were going to be some other art groups. But then that fell apart, and so all of our cultural infrastructure, all of the buildings are falling apart. So when that fell apart, we had to go and save our buildings, and because there wasn't going to be a prospect. So the Eastman Theater built an expansion. Geva's doing this, and the Broadway Theater League just never found a way to do it. And I don't want to talk ill about my friends over there. But they're doing something different. And you know, I have subscribers to Geva who hate musicals, so they go to the Broadway Theater League, and that's fine. The spectrum of arts is huge. And Rochester's actually just came out, we're the 20th most arts vibrant large city in America. So people love the arts here and are filling our venues. And the Broadway Theater League they're looking to find a way to keep their mission going forward.
Yeah, they got problems. They got to do a lot of renovations too for handicaps, and I mean it's a climb up that balcony. Let me tell you there and stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
That's Spamalot. Is that a comedy on Camelot?
It's a comedy on Monty Python. Monty Python and the Holy Grail was turned into a musical, and it's called Spamalot. So it is a comedy, it's a musical, full Broadway musical with fancy scenery and costumes and showgirls and everything. Yes. The rabbit? Oh yeah, it's in there. Yep, the rabbit, the flatulent Frenchman, the flying cows, everything. Yes.
Do you all deal with the big screen producers and
like the big producers?
Yes.
Yeah, we have some relationships with big producers. We've sent shows to New York and worked with producers on that. Some of our plays have toured around the country. Next year we're partnering with, there's a theater in Rochester, sister city of Waterford, Ireland, and we are partnering on the production of A Moon for the Misbegotten, and it will be a joint Irish and American cast, and it will run in Waterford, and it will run in Rochester. And usually the Sister City Committee does golf tournaments and things to bring our communities together, and next year we're doing a joint production. So it'll be great, and we'll organize a trip over there if anyone wants to come on vacation. So, yes?
Is your open house an annual thing? I've attended it in the past, and I've enjoyed it very much, where it's behind-the-scenes type of tours.
Yes, every year we do an open house. It's free to the public. It's called Magic in the Making. And what we do for that, it's usually about 3 hours long, and all of our staff are at their battle stations, is what I call it. You know, they're in their respective offices and shops. So the costumers are, you know, at their selling stations, and the props people are in their shop, and you get to, the whole building's open, and you can go around and hear from the staff about how they do their work, how they make furniture, how they make wigs, how they dye fabric, because everything's done by hand. It's a really old-time trade profession, and it's, you know, people say manufacturing's dead, but we're doing manufacturing every day. We're manufacturing clothes, furniture, sets, and then we have electricians and sound engineers, so there's modern technology mixed in. It's a really vibrant and creative art form. And so that's free and open to the public. You can watch for dates. I think next year, I think it's in March. But you know, watch our calendar. We'll publicize it.
Do you do anything with the Eastman Theater?
Which part of Eastman Theater?
Well, I should say the Eastman House.
The Eastman House.
People from there, yes.
Yes. We've partnered with the Eastman House, particularly the Dryden Theater. And we partner with the Little Theater as well when we're doing plays that have relation to film, either a film play or a play that's become a film. We'll do like little film festivals around our shows. And so we've worked with the Little on that, and I know we're talking with the Dryden. And we always participate in the Eastman House Photo Finish 5K, which is a big charity fundraiser for all different charities that the Eastman House coordinates. So we partner with a lot of the cultural organizations in town. Collaboration is one of Geva's core values, and so we partner with all sorts of groups and organizations. So,
How about the other theater down, the auditorium theater?
The auditorium theater.
Is that separate, on a separate entity itself?
That's a separate entity. That's a touring theater, so we're a producer, and so we make all of our own work, and it's just for Rochester, and they're a presenter. So all of their shows move from city to city. It's the Broadway show.
In other words, the events that are there come from out of town, is that it?
Correct.
More or less?
Correct. Yeah. Ours are homegrown, and theirs come from out of town.
That's the difference.
That's the difference. Yes.
Yeah, I know the downstairs cabaret that CEO used to be the CEO of Geva.
Yes, Chris Kowalski was managing director at Geva back in the day, and then he went to downstairs.
Yeah, we all connect. And
yes.
Do you all have a ticket price? Say 20 people want to come.
Yep.
A group or organization of 20 want to come. Is there a certain ticket price you would give them, or how would that work?
Yes, we have group rates beginning at groups start of 10 and up. So the more people you bring, the bigger the discount. But yes, we do a lot of groups every year, particularly around A Christmas Carol, which is our big holiday production. That's our biggest production of the year. It's a $1 million production. If you ever want to see what $1 million on stage looks like, it's A Christmas Carol. It's very big. It's got all the glitz and moving scenery and smoke and flying and special effects and great costumes and dancing and singing and acting. It's a lot of fun.
Do they do volunteers for ushering like they do at the auditorium?
We do. We have a volunteer usher corps of about 500, and if you are yes, we have 33 performances of every play. So, and we need 20 ushers for each performance. So, so we staff them all that way. But if you're interested, Peter Allen at Geva coordinates all of our volunteers, and we can always use some more to help ushering. It's a way to see shows for free. So, you're actually probably getting paid more than our staff members, because the show, a ticket could be $60, $70, and you're working for 3 hours, so you're making 20 some bucks an hour. That's pretty good.
It's Broadway shows are anywhere from $60 to $100, and I go to all of them.
Yeah, we pride ourselves on being really affordable at Geva. We always have $25 tickets available. Our subscriptions, we actually have subscriptions that are $19 a ticket. So I think we have the lowest ticket prices in town. But we don't have the highest either. A Broadway show, you can pay $150 for a ticket. Our top ticket price, we top out around $80 on a really popular show. Because like the airlines and hotels, we use dynamic ticket pricing. So when a show gets really popular, the prices go up. So if you wait to the last minute, you'll pay more. If the show's popular, you will pay more. So that's why we always encourage people to subscribe, because they get the best seats at the lowest price. Plus a host of other benefits like free exchanges if they can't make it. You get restaurant discount coupons, lost ticket insurance, missed performance insurance, all sorts of great benefits to being a subscriber. Yes?
I'm curious about and amazed at the work that's gone in this whole thing as far as the planning stages. All the brains are coming together and trying to come across with the various ideas to make it more comfortable for the actors. Can you give a little insight to how that came about? It's fun to be a member of and just listen to what was going on,
Well, it came about mostly because it had to. The building was falling down, so we had to do something. And when the Performing Arts Center project at Renaissance Square fell apart, we committed to building, because there was conversation, should we build a new theater? But building a new theater is very expensive. were to try and rebuild our building today as a theater, theaters are costing $50–100 million to build. Some of my colleagues are spending $130 million to build a theater. You've heard the Performing Arts Center in the press that's a $100 million project for a theater. So these buildings are very expensive. So we committed to fixing the building that we have and making it as good as it could be. And it's done great work for us so far, and I think it's going to do great work for us going into the future.
What did you do before, Tom, to build up to this position you have now?
Well, when I went to college, I was pre-med, and I was going to be a doctor because I used to be smart when I was a kid, and smart kids are supposed to become doctors and lawyers, and so I went to college to be a doctor. But I also was very artistic. I sang and acted and played an instrument and performed magic shows in my backyard in the tent. So I always had this sort of performing and artistic background as well. And when I went to college, I realized I was going into medicine just out of expectation and not out of true passion. And so I decided I was going to be an actor, which thrilled my parents. And my father encouraged me to get a business degree to go with it, something to fall back on. And I went to the National Theater Institute in Connecticut, which is a conservatory program, and really learned there that I wasn't going to be talented enough to make a career as an actor. Just for numbers, there are 40,000 union actors in the United States, and only 5% of them make more than $5,000 acting. It's a very hard profession. Talk about supply and demand. Huge supply, low demand. With Geva, we're one of the larger theaters in the country, and we're only employing maybe 50, 75 actors a year. And there are 40,000 of them. So it's a really hard life, and they say if you can imagine yourself doing anything else, you should. And while I was at the National Theater Institute, I produced my first show and learned that I had a knack for that, and it really combined the business elements that I was getting and all the smart stuff like math that I used to do with the art, and it was a way for me to support and make art that way. And so I decided I was going to get my master's in arts administration, and I got my MBA. And then after I graduated, I went and worked at a theater in San Diego. Was the associate managing director there, and then I became executive director of a theater outside of Boston. Became the youngest executive director of a major theater in the country, and held that title for 7 years. I'm not the youngest anymore. Unfortunately, you get older, and it's hard to hang on to those titles. But then I was recruited to come here to Geva, and I've been here for 4 years. So that's my story.
That was clever. I went to the one on Clinton Avenue, how they had a revolving thing. They still have that at the place?
So we had a revolving stage for one of the sets, and we do still on occasion. It just depends. We build every set individually for each show. So sometimes we have revolving stages, sometimes we have trap doors, sometimes we have elevator lifts, sometimes we fly things down from up above, we move things in from the side. Part of the campaign bought automation equipment for the theater, so we have all the computers now that can control all of that moving scenery. It's all automated, and so we have all the winches and turntables and pulleys and lifts that can move things around. Yes.
When you do that flying stuff, do you have to bring special people in from New York or someplace to do that? Like, if you did like Peter Pan or something, flying around, you have to bring special people with talent for that?
There are people that specialize in stage flying. The actors, we just hire the actors, but for the technical element of flying, I believe there's actually a company in Rochester that does theatrical rigging, and we work with them to help build the harnesses that we need to do the stage flying in a safe way. Yeah. Safety is really important.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I saw about Elliott there, Billy Elliott thing, and the kid is flying around that thing, like doing a ballet in the air.
I think at this point, we'll take, if you have one more question, we'll take one more question and then let you go. I know you have a meeting
Yep,
to go
I have
to.
to get to it at 11 o'clock.
I
So.
want to thank you for coming and also everybody who's here today and enjoying. Thanks,
Thank you so much.
We're meeting next week, right? Warren, we're meeting next week? Yeah, we'll be here next week. Oh, we are. Yeah, a little surprised that John Hogan's going on.
The Geva guide